And hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you the new region system coming in RPG Builder version 1.1. It is an amazing addition to the framework because it gives you full control on both how each area of your world look, as well as mechanics that can be triggered when entering them. For these specific videos, as you can see, the settings are quite exaggerated, meaning that the fog, the skybox, the lightning, and all those things are going to be a bit more extreme than what you would actually want in your game, just because I wanted it to be very obvious when transitioning from one region to another. But as you, the developer, you're going to of course find the perfect values to make your game look great. So here we are currently in the village region, and you see that we have some fog, we have a kind of like green skybox, we have even some smoke particle going around us. Now what would happen when we go from the village to the plain region? Also pay attention to the current music and how it's going to fade out and fade in when we enter the new region. So now we're in the plains, we have the plains music list playing and we have the new fog. We also have, as you can see, we don't have smoke anymore around us. We now have leaves falling, so that's, custom particle system for this region, and the skybox is now blue. I'm going to go in one more time just to show you. And now as we go in, you see the skybox transitioning, the fog, the music, and the smoke is back. Once again, so it's very cool, it's seamless, and of course you have full control over those settings. So if we look at regions in the editor, it is under world, game scenes, and here regions. So here we have the list of all current regions, and I want to show you how quick and easy it is to change those settings. So you can of course even do it in game with most things, like most things in RPG Builder. So let's say that now in the village region we wanted it to be a dark blue. The fog should be a lot thicker, and that should be it. Let's just save that and go back in the village now. And as we enter, you see that now it looks completely different. Not saying it looks great, but it was very easy to tweak that. Also, on top of this, we can tweak the transition or like fade speed and stuff like that. So let's go again, and let's say that we wanted the blending to be slower. So now I'm going to set the fog blending to 0.1 instead of 0.5. And as we go in, it's now transitioning or blending, but much slower until it's going to reach the exact point. And of course, we can tweak this for every other region the exact same way. I'm going to put it back to pretty much where it was before, 0.6 and 0.5. And that's it. And it's going to take effect the next time we actually enter the region. So now, for example. Perfect. So now let's go a bit more in the world and see what type of other region we have. As you can see, I gave myself a slight movement speed increase just so that we can move around a bit faster. And I also have some extra health on this character just so that we're not worried about different monsters. But in the meantime, while I'm actually walking through the world, because it's going to take a while, I'm going to go ahead and explain to you some of the other things you can, control and modify with each region. So each region can, like I said, modify your fog settings, the lightning settings. We didn't really see it, but we will see it very soon in this cave. And you can also modify the skybox, as you could see, and all of those have their own transition speed value. Now, as you can see, we just entered the cave, right? And of course, once again, I'm not saying this is perfect. You can tweak the settings to make it actually look really cool. I just wanted to show you a quick prototype. But now we have a cave with really low visibility. And as we go out of the cave again, if I don't get lost, we go back to the plains and things goes back to normal. So once again, another very cool settings or preset you can have for your cave, or any kind of other environment you would want to be. Now we will go in the forest, if I don't get lost once again. Okay, we made it out. So now we're in the forest, and we have a custom particle effect. It's actually the same one than in the plains, but this time it's a bit more green, just so that it's matching a bit more. The fog is also a bit different. The skybox is now completely blue again. So yeah, just different look, different feel. So going back to all the things you can do in your regions, the next settings is called modify combat mode. So that's not something everyone is going to want to use, I'm sure, but it's something that was requested by a few users. So what this does is I'm quickly just going to show you how it's presented in the editor. So here we have modify combat mode, and you can leave it on, and of course in this case, you know, it's not going to be active. I forgot to show you that, but when you add a new region, you basically have everything off by default. So it's up to you to decide what setting is going to be affected when entering this region. You could decide to not modify the fog at all, etc. But when it comes to the combat mode one, here you see that the plains, for example, you could decide that as soon as you enter the plains, no, that's a bad example. Let's take the village instead. So if you would turn modify combat mode on and leave this one off, enable combat, this will mean that as soon as you enter the village region, you're not going to be able to fight. Actually, you're not going to be able to use your abilities, and you also it's going to also change a lot of other things. For example, NPCs are not going to aggro you anymore. NPCs are not going to be able to use abilities anymore, and you're not going to be able to fight with them also. And if you were already fighting, for example, an NPC, and you enter this region, the fight is going to be over. The NPC is going to go back to his spot, you can't fight him anymore, and if he had any kind of dot, or if you had any kind of dot or effect on you, it's also going to be clear. So it's a pretty straightforward like combat termination or whatever, which allows you to have some non-combat and combat zone. Now we are entering the mountains, so it's going to be really foggy here, and now as you can see, it went from the sleeves to the snow particles. So once again, you know, it's kind of like repetitive in the way that you know, it's just different fog settings, etc. But as you can imagine, this gives you a lot of control and freedom on how you make your world feel and look. And trust me, this is very important for the success of a game. The next setting in the region section is modify combat state. So if you turn this on, this lets you override the global combat state of your character. So if you would, for example, let's say go to the plains and set modify combat state to true and override in combat to true, it will mean that as soon as you enter the plains, your character is actually going to be put in combat. The same way that if you would take damage or deal damage. So you will take your weapon out and you will be ready to fight, right? And whatever happens, even if you're, you know, not in combat anymore in the way that, for example, you killed a deer and it has been 20 seconds or whatever, you're still going to be in combat. It's not going to reset your combat anymore. Now, if it will be too fast, it will then not allow you to enter combat again. So once again, it's not something everyone is going to use, but it's here if you want to, and I'm sure some of you are going to find it useful. So next one is a welcome text, which I'm going to explain while working, so we can go to the last region. Welcome text, really straightforward. It is a text in the UI that is visible here on top of the screen in case you didn't see yet. It is a small UI thing that's going to show, and the text, so for example, welcome to the village, welcome to the forest, whatever, and you can choose the duration on it. The next settings, I'm also going to show you in the editor, it is modify music. So if you have this off, it is then going to show the default music from the music manager. Music manager is not something I yet covered on the channel, but I'm probably going to make a video about it. It's a new system also coming in 1.1, and it lets you have a list of music that's going to be played in your scene, and it's going to, you know, go through the music list randomly, etc. More details on this later. But like I said, each region can have its own music, and you can have as many music lists as you want, right? And or no, I mean one list, but as many music as you want in it. And it's going to fade, as we could see before, from one region to another, and that's pretty cool. So here, for example, we have some special music for the lava area, which is the last one we have to see, for the cave, and so on. And the last one is trigger game actions, which I'm also quickly going to show you. And this lets you assign any, an endless list of game actions that you want to trigger. And if you're not yet familiar with game action, it's actually this huge list here that you can see letting you trigger any kind of RPG and Unity, RPG Builder and Unity action. So apply an effect, gain item, remove item, learn ability, and so on, gain experience, propose a quest. Anyway, you can read the list, you can pause, and you can see that you can do many things, and we will actually see it in action just now as we enter the last region. So let's go there. It's really, you know, especially the game action thing is going to really not only make the region like feel different, but it can really add some interesting mechanic to your game. So for example, you could add some specific debuff to your characters as long as they are in a region, right? For example, here in the slow area, well, now I entered the lava, like the volcano area, right? So as you can see, we now have a dot on us. So every 1 second, I'm taking fire damage. But I was going to say before that, you could make it that if you go to the mountain area, for example, it will then, for example, I don't know, reduce your frost resistance or things like that, right? So that's pretty much what it's used for. And in this case, of course, we kept the effect even outside because this is set up to be a dot, but it could be set to be only in the region, right? So now we go to the last area, which is of course the boss. And yeah, that's it. Now it looks very chaotic. We have like the red sky, we have the smoke, the red smoke particles, and all these things. And as you can see, we still have, you know, our fire damage effect. But this game action thing is really cool because you could, for example, unlock a talent point when you enter a specific region. Anyway, I'm not going to go in detail about each of these things because the list is literally insane when it comes to game action. Like you can play an animation, you can spawn or deactivate a game object. So for example, a use case for that, imagine that there will be a very cool looking chest here with like, you know, like a glowing effect. So of course the player is going to want it, right? What you could do is actually, you know, the player is most likely going to work to it, but then you can make a part of this ground actually be fake. And as you enter this region, it's going to collapse and fall, and now you're going to be trapped somewhere, maybe like a labyrinth or something that you have to get out. Anyway, I could literally give you ideas like this for hours, but I'm sure you have many also, and my job is just to make it possible for you to do that as easy as possible, as always, in the editor like this. So that's pretty much it for the like editor part of the regions. Now I would like to show you how it's actually set up in the scene. So if we go in the scene view now, you see that we have all those boxes and, well, those regions, right? These are regions. If I select them all and actually turn off show gizmo, you see that it's, you know, allowing us to actually hide those things if you don't want them. But this is really useful to know where each region is and where to place the next one. So for example, here, it makes it very easy to have the village one and the plains one. I may be muting the audio for now. And so as you can see here, we have a list of regions. We have the village, the plains, then we have multiple for the forest, then we have the mountains area, and the last one for the lava. And as you can see, we have a sphere one here, and the rest are boxes. So you have the choice between cube and sphere. And it's very easy. Like if you look at the components here, it is very easy to create a region. I'm going to create one from scratch just to show you. So create empty, let's put it here. Let's call it, for example, new region. The name of the game object does not matter. Here I'm going to add the region components, and let's say that this region is a cube. So in this case, I'm going to add the cube collider, or rather box collider. Make sure that it is trigger, the collider. It doesn't matter if it's a sphere or a box, it has to be trigger, otherwise your character is not going to be able to go through it. But here we have our new region, and right now we don't really see it, right? What's really important to know is that for box colliders, the size has to be 1, 1, 1. Do not change that. Keep it to 1. What you do instead is that you simply just scale the game object itself. As you can see, we now have our region visible. We can change the color. If we wanted this to be a beautiful pink, it's possible. And like I said, you can hide this, of course. It's only kind of like for development reasons. And then the last thing you have to do literally for this to work is type a region name here. So just to confirm with you, to make sure you understand, when you go to world game scenes, this is the region name. So for example, village, as you can see, if I now select the village region, you see that we have the village name here. As long as this is matching a name of one of the region here, then it's going to work as soon as you enter it. So that's pretty much all you have to do. And now you can place it wherever you want. You can place it inside other regions. So for example, if we wanted a smaller regions inside the plain region, it's totally possible. And another one even smaller in it of color black, let's say. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you can do whatever you want with that. So it's a lot of freedom, a lot of customization possible for you. And I think that covers it pretty much well. And I think the boss aggroed us and is having fun just attacking us. We're most likely not going to die so soon. So for now we're fine. But yeah, looking pretty cool from far. Yeah, pretty nice looking actually. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to show. I think I showed you all the settings. Anyway, if you have any question, definitely let me know in the comment or in Discord. And 1.1 is still far away, so if you definitely have like some recommendation or ideas for the region system to add, things you didn't see me cover in this video, definitely let me know. And it's if it makes sense and if it's good, it's going to be added before 1.1. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.